Thank you. And I give the call to the member for Fowler.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I stand here to represent the people of Fowler, where the average weekly income wage is 20% lower than the rest of Australia. We are a low socioeconomic community. But what does it really mean? It means that many people in my electorate of Fowler are on low incomes, work in factories, run their small family businesses. Many of them have come to this country from migrant and refugee backgrounds like mine to create a better life for their families with a dream of owning a home, sending their kids to good school and work hard to provide for their future. Now, this government is making life even more difficult by the refusal to extend the excise fuel duty to enable families in southwest Sydney to drive long distance to work or to take their kids to school or elderly parents to the doctors. Extending the fuel levy would not have added to inflation. Our families are now seeing the rise in petrol prices and will bear the brunt of this just before Christmas. And their stubbornness to not split the Fair Work legislation amendment bill before us for wage rises to take effect as soon as possible, which will benefit low-wage workers such as those in retail work, aged care and teaching and childcare, and scraping the low and middle income tax offset, which would have benefited all Australians earning $120,000 or less. The cost of living in my community of Fowler and in Australia overall has been the front and centre for me since my election to this House. I am concerned for the health and well-being of the people who live in my area, who are trying to cope with so many increasing costs. They are paying for more fuel, interest rates are going up, as is their weekly grocery bill. I'm worried about people like 71-year-old Kathleen from St John's Park, who called my office this week. She told us how she can barely manage to keep herself going on the $926 a fortnight she earns as a pensioner, which has to stretch to pay for house insurance, rates, water, electricity, gas, green slip and telephone. It was heartbreaking to hear that she truly believes this government has made her life harder now than it was when she raised 2 children as a single mother. It's not the first call that we had from a pensioner, worried about how they will survive the coming months and the next year with prices on the rise. For us here in Australia, and especially for the families in my electorate of Fowler, the cost of living crisis is hitting hard. Just this past week, the Treasury warned of a deterioration in the global outlook, and they said it is becoming probable that major developed economies will soon experience recessions. According to NAB's Consumer Sentiment Survey, consumers should expect to spend an extra $170 a week on essential costs like groceries, fuel and bills in the lead-up to Christmas. And I feel compelled to bring the current state of the energy market at the moment. I'm worried about how the Mayor thought of coping with a 20 to 50% energy bill rise that will affect the mental health and stability of families who live in my electorate. We're stuck in a cycle that delivers excessively high profits for some companies at the expense of everyday working-class families, not to mention the impact of energy costs on some 18,000-plus small businesses in the area. A rise in energy prices of 50% could see many of our local small operators have to close their doors because they simply will not be able to cope with another increase in operating expenses. These are the people I am here to represent, and our government must take responsibility and action when it comes to taking care of all Australians. We need immediate relief and a transition plan for renewable energy that would not hit our families in low socioeconomic areas so hard. Energy affordability affects us all, but for some people it will mean the difference between putting food on the table, shoes on their children's feet, or spending a night at home in the dark. Ordinary working families, small business and the elderly should not be made to suffer while energy companies reap excessive profits. The government has a number of options in front of them right now. They could introduce a windfall profits tax on the energy companies, or they could re-establish agreements that withhold local supplies of gas. The government needs to take care of this nation and provide affordability in the cost of living now. Thank you.
Thank you. Member for Adelaide.